And it lets developers have a multilingual user interfaces without having to extract the text from the app. It doesn't require developers to do that. It's just one line of code to use human labor or AI. If it can be done with AI, it will be done with AI 100%. So it's out of question. To those developers who are worried whether AI is taking their job or whether it's not, you are being hired not to write code, but to know what code to write. It works at build time, and whether you have 100 components or tens of thousands of components, it's gonna take the same time to implement Lingo.dev compiler. And your app becomes multilingual almost immediately. Every day, it was 8 to 10 hours of meetings every day.
Today's guest is Max Prilutskiy, co-founder and CEO of Lingo.dev, the YC-backed Stripe for app localization. Lingo turns Git commits into automated translation PRs, and its new React compiler localizes UIs and build time with zero I18 refactor. Teams like Mistral AI and Call.com already ship with it, and Lingo recently raised $4.2 million to push the category forward. We'll dig into model routing, context-aware translations, and playbook for going global without slowing down dev velocity. Come check out this cool product born out of a hackathon. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Homebase, the AI Chopping Block podcast. Today, I have Max with me. Max is building Lingo. It helps developers speed up localization. Max, maybe you can help me understand what is it that your product does more precisely? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? Why does it matter today? And how did you get here? But we can also split those questions up throughout an interview. So take your time or just give us one of the answers. Take it away.
Yeah, sure. Hi, David. Thanks for having me. Yeah, indeed. I'm Max, co-founder and CEO at Lingo.dev. We help dev teams do localization faster, and we help dev teams use AI for producing accurate translations that match their product, their brand voice, and so that they are not being blocked by localization and translation, basically. So we are building it for dev teams. We are deeply technical team of engineers, and we are building a product for engineers like ourselves, pretty much.
Nice. So question to you, how did this problem came to be? How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually it came to us, me and my co-founder Veronica, at a hackathon. So we built, before Lingo.dev, we built a B2B SaaS, and then we sold it, got acquired, and then we were looking for things to work on next. And just all of a sudden, we saw an announcement about a hackathon. It was related to open source and AI. That was the theme. So we just very spontaneously, we booked tickets to New York, and we joined the hackathon. And then we were like, all right, what should we build? We didn't have any ideas. And we just interviewed sponsors who attended the hackathon. Basically, we did customer interviews, a bunch of customer interviews, and we realized that everybody in that room, it just happened to be so that they had problems with localization. It was blocking them, and it was costing them tens of thousands of dollars monthly, and sometimes $100,000 yearly to do localization, and it was blocking the dev teams for several weeks. So we were at some point we just realized that actually with the previous product that we were building, it was also an issue. It was a blocker. And then before that, I worked as engineering manager, and we had similar problem there, that translations were blocking the entire team from releasing the feature that is already ready, but you're waiting for translations. And then it just all came together, and we realized it's the problem that we would love to work on next. And then we built a prototype, and we actually won that hackathon as the best dev tool. But it was just a very thin ChatGPT wrapper back then.
Got it. And so how do companies solve this problem now without your product? Do they use agencies? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the legacy way of doing localization was to use translation management systems, and then translators on the other side, and then developers would take the JSON files or other formats of files, upload them to the translation management system, and then translators would come, translate that, and Ping developers, they would pull that translated data and redeploy the app. There are automations that help in one way or another automate parts of this like uploading, downloading process, but it still blocks development teams. And even today, after we talk to customers who book the demos, who switch to use our product, they tell us that they were spending like at least a week. Like week is an average number of like how much they are waiting for the translations to be ready when they already have the feature ready. So we just save them 1 week for every feature, so they just ship faster and get also oftentimes they get higher quality results because, as like after talking to translators, nobody actually likes translating buttons or labels inside inputs. Like nobody wants to do that. And oftentimes with deeply technical products, you cannot translate those things if you don't understand the product and its domain and its industry. You can easily translate space on, white space on the keyboard as like outer space in other languages, right? If you just don't understand what is being translated. And with LLMs, dev teams can solve that easily, and we help dev teams to apply large language models to produce perfect translations for their user interfaces.
Got it. So like, what's an ideal client for you guys? Just curious, because like, I'm guessing like smaller companies who are still looking for product market fit, like, do they need this, or like who would use this product? Like how big of a does it need to be?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's there are different cases. There are cases like we help, for example, Solana Foundation with translations, or companies like Mistral AI. So it could also be smaller teams or like individual developers building indie projects who want to get their first users, first paying customers faster. Because oftentimes if you're building DevTool, it's not a big of a problem. But if it's a product, B2B SaaS product for not that tech savvy people, chances are they would prefer using the product in their native language. There are several exceptions, like deeply financial products or like deeply technical like DevTools, but on average, people prefer using products in their own language, and it basically for indie developers it means getting paying users faster. So it really depends. It really depends. We have like different categories of customers.
Got it. And so this, like, how does it work? Just curious. So you just like install like a snippet and it translates everything, or is it more complicated than that?
There are several tools, several products that we have. So the commercial product that we have is a Lingo.dev engine. It's a Lingo.dev localization engine and an API that teams usually configure to sound like them, to sound like their product, to follow their rules, their parameters, their settings, their brand voice. And our goal there is to produce high quality, perfect translations for the user using different LLM models under the hood in combination. So that's the commercial product. But besides that, the things that we are most excited about is our Lingo.dev CLI. It's a free and open source CLI that can be used with existing translation files, like if you have ITNN in your project, like in a React project, Angular project, or even iOS app, Android app, or even if you want to translate your documentation or blog and it's in Markdown files, you can use Lingo.dev CLI, either with Lingo.dev engine that will guarantee the quality, or you can even use it with your own API key from OpenAI or Anthropic, for example. And that is free and open source, and you can even contribute. We welcome open source contributors there. So that's the Lingo.dev CLI. We also have integration for GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket that brings an exceptional developer experience. Basically, it feels that you just keep shipping features and you just commit English versions basically to your GitHub, and then the integration understands that you just committed something new or updated some translation in English, and it creates automated commits or even automated pull requests that you can then review and merge, and you don't have to worry about maintaining translations. It just happens on autopilot. So it brings like depend-a-bot type of experience to translations. And then the most recent development is something that our team is excited about the most. It's called a Lingo.dev compiler, and it's for web applications and React applications specifically. And it lets developers have a multilingual user interfaces without having to extract the text from the app. Because typically you would refactor your entire app to support multiple languages, to implement ITNN framework. So Lingo.dev compiler works in a very different way. It doesn't require developers to do that. It's just one line of code. It works at build time. And the moment app finishes building, it's already multilingual in all the languages that the team wants to support. And no refactoring, no rewriting is needed.
So what, like, on average, like, how much time do you guys save these companies, like, compared to the legacy methods? Just curious.
Yeah, so compared to the legacy methods, it's if it's without Lingo.dev compiler and it's the automations and the AI translations that we help produce using LLMs, it's a week in delays on average. So oftentimes it's 2 weeks that folks are waiting for, like bigger companies are waiting for translations from their translation partners. Sometimes it's 3-4 business days, 2 business days, but on average it's around a week, let's say. So around a week once the feature is ready. And if you're using Lingo.dev compiler, that is also free and open source, and you can use it either with Lingo.dev or your own API key, it's hard to estimate because it has no dependency on the size of the project. It works at build time, and whether you have like 100 components or tens of thousands of components, it's gonna take the same time to implement Lingo.dev compiler, and your app becomes multilingual almost immediately. So it saves like months of work.
So you're working primarily like with startups, or are you targeting enterprises? Because I see some great logos on your company page, Cal.com, Mistral, as you mentioned. But are you going after bigger companies, or are you kind of sticking with the like startups or scale-ups? Just curious.
We do everything. Most of the companies, they just find us through word of mouth. Yeah, they book a demo. Sometimes they don't even book a demo. They just start using and they swipe the card. Sometimes they do that and then they book a demo. But we welcome every company. Sometimes it's more about the tech stack rather than the size of the company, because we work with developers. We are not like salespeople, but since we are working with developers, we literally speak the same language, and for us, it's very easy to just show the value we create, because we dog food everything that we develop. We iterate based on customer feedback. Like probably 60% of things that we have shipped is just our users told us to ship that, and other users were like super excited about that after we shipped that. So we do that, and honestly, we are, I would say, indifferent in terms of like the size of the company. Though we have like SOC 2 compliance and all the things that make our product and platform enterprise ready. So we do everything.
Yeah, I was just curious because with enterprises, there's so much bureaucracy and stuff like that. But it seems like you have the right approach, because you're going after the developers who may integrate this stuff, and by then, like the decision makers, if they see this in action and if it's working, it seems like it's going to be an easy choice to adopt your product inside enterprises. Is that kind of like the plan, or?
Yeah, I can see this working as well. But for us, in the first place, what we want to have is what we want to do is that we want to solve the bottleneck that developer teams have. And in the first place, we have this opportunity to not focus on immediate revenue, even though it's growing. We have the opportunity to focus on solving the actual problem, because the problem itself is massive, and the pain that you have to go through to actually make a product and user interface multilingual, I believe it's insane. It's just we keep doing that. We keep spending hours or like weeks on implementing ITNN, but the rest of of the world and the rest of the tech stack is already far ahead, and we are still like messing with translation files and JSON strings, like key value pairs in JSONs, and this is just crazy. So for us, it's much more important to solve the problem and then like monetization is like, of course, a very important aspect, but I believe if we are able to solve the problem well, then the rest is very easy to figure out.
Okay, and so what are the, like you mentioned one of the challenges, but what are like the top 3 challenges of like solving this problem right now for you guys?
Yeah, so we are working on a Lingo.dev compiler at the moment that lets you do localization without basically refactoring or rewriting your entire app, without even like using T functions or wrapping your components in like translate text. Nothing is needed. You just like click button, implement the configuration, and that's it. So there is a lot of edge cases that we want to support that we don't yet support. So right now we support just like several tech stacks that are mostly React based, and we want to to bring this type of solution to other tech stacks as well. So that's what we are investing in right now. So it's basically developer experience. So we are focusing on 2 things. It's developer experience and the quality of AI translations that our commercial product produces, the localization engine API. So those are the 2 main areas that we invest in. We are doing a lot of applied AI research on our team. My co-founder, Veronica, she is in charge of AI, applied AI research and like data science. So yeah, we basically move as fast as we can is in these 2 directions.
Got it. And you guys just raised a $4 million seed round, and like, what was like some of the metrics that convinced the investors to go all in with you? Like, was it revenue? Was it user growth? Like, what was something that impressed them, I guess?
Honestly, I didn't ask this question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that like fundraising can be different. Like for me, it was like super painful because I was already based in San Francisco during YC and after YC. And I just somehow, let's say, accumulated relationships and connections with European VCs as well. And I had to take a lot of meetings. So basically, fundraising week was like 10 hours of meetings every day. So I was starting at 6 a.m. because of European VCs, and then my day was ending at like 8 p.m. I had some like gaps after lunch, like every day, but it was like 8 to 10 hours of meetings every day. I was able to close the seed like that round in 10 business days. From the moment I started fundraising calls till the very end. It was 10 business days, but it was brutal. It's like, it's insane pressure. I don't know, like in terms of metrics, look, my conviction is that you don't need to have fancy pitch decks and like 15 pages of materials, like 50 pages of materials in order to present your company, especially at pre-seed, seed stage. In my opinion, all you have to have is a exponential chart on one of the slides, and that chart should represent the direction that you have. The closer that chart is to revenue, the better. But in my experience, I mean, our chart was revenue, but from what I have seen, it's not necessarily should be revenue. So I just think the most important part is the team, whether it's the right team to solve this problem, how dedicated is the team to solving this problem. Do they even work on it full time? Because you would be surprised, like many folks aren't like working full time, and then I mean, they ask why they have issues like raising capital. This is like maybe it's not obvious, not very obvious, but you cannot like you won't be able to convince a serious investor to invest unless you already work full time. Like, why would they commit if you yourself do not commit, right? So it's like very underlooked thing. So yeah, whether it's the right team, whether there is traction, like how did the founders meet, right? So for example, we were told that 35% of startup failures, they are because of co-founder breakup, and other 35% are because founders just gave up on working on this idea. So yeah, so basically you have to explain why both of these things are not true in your case, why you won't break up, and why you will keep working on this idea, keep pushing, even when you don't see immediate results. So I think that's two of the most important questions to answer in the pitch deck and in general in the conversation. But in terms of what did I say exactly, or like what like metrics I was showing, well, I was showing revenue and like customer feedback. That's it. Like I was showing the revenue chart and customer feedback.
Nice, nice. Okay, so you touched on, the importance of a team. Your product helps, startups and companies ship multilingual products 10 times faster. And I'm guessing, like you're building a fairly complex product with a fairly small team, it seems like, for now at least. Like, what do you guys leverage AI yourselves, like to ship code, or like what's your what's your thoughts on vibe coding and stuff like that, all the hyped up stuff that we see out there? Like, are you guys doing some of that internally?
Yeah, for sure. So we are trying to use as many AI tools as possible. Sometimes, and even with that, I feel like we aren't using them enough. So our top tools, like I'm paying for probably, well, I am a customer of both OpenAI and Claude. Like, I mean, ChatGPT and Claude. I feel like ChatGPT is better in research type of things, or like when you want to have a long conversation. I find that ChatGPT works slightly better than Claude, but when I want to write something, then I think Claude is much superior to ChatGPT. I think it's very taste-based, so I think it's maybe it's just my preference. So definitely for like simpler AI use cases, we use all those like GPT-like tools. In terms of coding, we use Cursor. We use GitHub Copilot, we use Klein. Yeah, we used Windsurf as well. Right now I'm using Claude Code as well. That's very interesting. I'm a big fan of CLIs. I mean, we have a pretty good CLI for localization. So I'm conceptually on board with like using CLIs as an interface. So I just like it because of that, Claude Code. And then Codex from OpenAI, honestly, I haven't tried it. So I know my teammates have tried it. I myself did not try it. Also, quite good tools that we are now exploring is the video model, like VO3, right? For like maybe some like social media use cases. But I mean, it's pretty new, so can't speak to that much. So yeah, overall trying to use as many AI tools as possible to speed up as possible. Our team is currently 6 people, so it's a relatively lean team.
Have you felt like how do you guys decide between like, like, let's see if AI can help us here before we hire someone else, or like, this is like a human job? Like, does that question pop up in your guys' team?
That's a good question. So we right now I am not hiring people who need to be managed in some sense. So I'm hiring folks who are experienced, who are like who are like extremely experienced to both do the job and use AI to do the job, but also come up with ideas what to do next, right? And I think jobs of the future in general, they will be more about creativity and about the intuition, about taste, about knowing what to do next and which tools to use. Sometimes you would, outsource some work to an agency, but sometimes you would, employ some AI tools for that. I mean, it really depends. We do work with agencies, but we also use AI agents a lot. And I don't think it was ever questioned whether to use human labor or AI. If it can be done with AI, it will be done with AI 100%. So it's out of question. I don't to those developers, for example, I have a lot of obviously developer friends, and there are still folks who are like worried whether AI is taking their job or whether it's not. And I think it's as a person who is like actively hiring, for me it's such a irrelevant question, to be honest, because you are being hired not to write code, but to know what code to write. Right, and AI will spit out, lines of code, but you will be the person who clicks the merge button, and you will be responsible for the code that goes to production. For example, oftentimes in my team, for example, our founding engineer would like ship some element of the user interface, and then I see the demo, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool! Like, how did you come? Like, this is so beautiful. I love it. Like, this is great. And he was like, no, it's like it's not me. It's Claude who shipped that user element. And I'm like, no, but like you reviewed it and you decided that is good enough. Or like that is great, and that it's okay to merge that to production. That is what developers are being hired for. If you feel like your only skill is to be able to write React code, then I would say you need to level up as soon as possible, because that is no longer a skill that is not relevant, but like that is important. It's important to understand whether it's good code or bad code. And you can only do that, you can only achieve that level of experience by just having more experience, by building more things, by building more side projects, to train your intuition so that you know what code is good code and what code is bad code, so that you can make right decisions even when there is no clear answer. So that's what I think the right approach. And as the person who is actively hiring, I don't believe developers will disappear. It's just the job is evolving and is upgrading.
Yeah, like what do you do? Like nowadays, like junior engineers are struggling. There's just like so many of them out there. Everyone's looking for like the senior engineers. And I mean, that was already the case. I think AI just kind of made things even worse. What's your advice to them? Like, how do you break into, like a good startup or like a fan company as an engineer today? Like, what would you advise?
Yeah, my advice would be to build more applications, to build for different use cases, to build in different domains, to use different tech stacks, but still in the same direction, because at the end of the day, you can use the same AI tools that you're probably sometimes afraid of because they potentially replace your labor, but you can use those tools to ship more stuff in less time, right? And that's how you get experience, right? You ship stuff from start to finish, you see it working, and then you proceed to the next prototype. You can start doing that just for yourself, and then you can find a good open source project to contribute to. Maybe my advice, maybe 2, 3 projects. My advice would be to, if you're going this route, pick 1, 2 good open source projects, ideas of which you really like internally, and try shipping as many useful, bug fixes, or like in general tasks. Start closing those tasks that they have in their GitHub repos. And you will get both. You will get recognition from those companies. You will actually, be very much involved in open source community, which is always great. And I mean, you'll get a ton of experience. You'll be working with other developers. Like, for example, Lingo.dev is mostly open source. The only part that is not open source is the API, but the rest, like the compiler, the CLI, the CI/CD integrations, all of them are open source, and we receive open source contributions of a very high quality, especially lately, and the number of contributors is growing. So it's like the community is helping each other, and they're like discussing the features to ship, and it's like you can actually get a lot of experience through open source work. But overall, TLDR, to summarize, I think you just gotta ship more stuff, and you can only do that if you can do that like 10 hours per day, 14 hours per day, but you can only do that if you really like programming, if you really like software engineering. Otherwise, you just burn out. But if you really in love with that craft, then you can do that indefinitely, and yeah, at some point you'll just get a job. It's just inevitable.
What is like one advice you'd give your younger self? Like, I mean, you've had like a really interesting career. Like you've been, you came from Belarus. You started coding at 9 years old. You work at Typeform. You're, starting you just raised funding for your second startup. You did Notionlytics before this, which was acquired. What is like one advice that you'd give to yourself if you were to start your journey all over again?
Good question. I would say work as hard as you can. Even if you are, that person who thinks you'll start startup one day and like regular job is not for you. My advice would be work work as hard as you can, even if you're working at a job, because it's for your future basically, because that's how you get experience. That's how you understand where your personal limits are. I think I worked, generally speaking, I worked hard almost always, but after building the second company also, I realized that maybe I actually could have worked even harder and maybe like I could have probably get more things done in less time. So I think it's very important. And because also partially that what drives my motivation today as well. I'm 29, by the way. So for me, it's like I have the energy to do like every single thing in the world. But I also admit that at some point I just will not have that energy anymore. And I just want to optimize for the amount of productivity I basically like produce every day by burning the calories that my organism is burning either way. So that's what I'm optimizing for, because at some point I won't have that much energy, and I just want to use the time to work as hard as I can to get as many things done as I can, many like exciting things. So that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned. And so I'm running a second company now as a CEO, but I worked as a developer who enjoyed his job like very much. It's like, I mean, I started coding at 9 without even having a computer at home, right? I was spending my lunch, pocket money to go to computer centers to like play with computers, but not to play like Warcraft, but rather to mess with to download some stuff on CDRW, like that type of stuff. So I was like just hacking around. So I really liked the job, but I think I would have gone a little bit further if I was doing my 100% best.
Yeah. So if there's a number you would put on, like you mentioned that you started at 9 coding, but like on average, like how much coding do you do per day? Because I think some people say like you can only do like 4 hours of true coding, like you can't work overnight. But like I've seen it both ways. I have friends that are engineers, and sometimes they disappear for like 2 weeks, and they come back with some kind of a product, and they haven't slept a day in those like 2 weeks. They were just coding away. Like where are you on that? On
Yeah.
that.
So there are different modes that I operate in. So if it's in like manager/CEO mode, then it's almost impossible to code at the same time. Because of just like you just cannot focus. It's like too many tasks that are very small, and you just have to do them one by one, and just no focus time. But sometimes, so we don't have a CTO, by the way, in our company, because we are a dev tool company, and I believe everybody is technical, by the way. And I'm, as a CEO, I'm also like CPO and CTO, because it's like a dev tool company, and like business vision is product vision is technical vision for us, because it's like a dev tool company. So sometimes I dedicate time, like a week, for some architectural work, and I definitely can code for like 10 hours per day, but it's not 10 hours in a row. It's rather maybe like 6 hours in the morning and then like 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon. It's very important what you eat for lunch because you can easily mess up your like second half of the day by just like, sometimes you go, you have lunch and then after lunch your brain just stops working. It just like turns off and it's impossible to get things done. So it's very important to pay attention how much you eat, for example, how much water you drink every day. So in our team, we are optimizing like professional athletes optimizing like things for their like body and like physical strength. We are optimizing for like mental strength and productivity in our team, and that's how we can do impossible things in short periods of time. So I would say coding for 10 hours every day is definitely possible if you manage it correctly.
Got it. And so in your free time, I noticed like you do some mountain climbing. Like how do you kind of take some time off from all the coding and like building a startup? Like what's your way to disconnect?
So I like hiking. So it just helps me switch to something else. Like it's like mountains. I lived for several years in Barcelona, and Pyrenees is like beautiful place to do hiking. There's so many places like Andorra, like between Spain and France, basically. So I do that around San Francisco. There's also very many places you can go and find great hiking spots. So I absolutely love that. And besides that, I just like traveling to unusual places. Let's say for me, like if that's a place that I've never been to, it's already unusual. So I like going places I've never been to, that people in general rarely have been to. So things like that. I just like traveling and also like flying.
Yeah, what is like one thing that you stopped doing that made you more successful and so far brought you where you are today?
I think it's a huge one. So I am obviously like following, but like what's going on in the world, but it happens indirectly. So the biggest news, I just somehow happen to know them either way, but I'm not like reading any newspapers. So I'm reading a lot of technical stuff. I'm subscribed to like, OpenAI developer updates type of things through Discord, through newsletters, stuff like that. But I'm not following like geopolitics, for example. So it's like, I just don't have time for that. I work like 14 hours every day, and then I either sleep or I go hiking. So there is literally no spot for that in my life. And I think that's the biggest, very, in my opinion, underrated productivity hack.
Got it. What's like the best investment you've made in your career so far to this day?
Well, in a developer career or like entrepreneurship kind of career, because in developer career,
let's do the developer first and then the entrepreneurship, since you have both of those. And like the audience that we have is there's going to be a lot of developers looking at this, and so both like founders and developers. So like what's the best investment you made as a founder, and then what's the best investment you've made as a developer?
As a developer, I would say it's the investments. It's like huge investments that I made, but with my time, with my personal time, because I was still, even after work, I was still doing something. And even back in at school and university, I was always building something. Back then, I didn't know it could be called startups. I was just building some apps, and nobody told me that that's actually how tech companies are being built. So nobody told me that. But I was just always building something because I found that like just fun. You build something new that never existed before. You like go deep into those like technicalities of that app. So I really enjoyed that. So I invested a lot of my time into side projects. So that's the biggest investment, and I think that's what have made me a good developer, I hope.
And it sounds like it's also good founder also because like you've been, I mean, like
Yeah, with founder, I think it was very interesting because it happened naturally because like I just needed a place or like environment, circumstances to do my 120% best because I found that like I was always curious not only about development. I was very excited about development, but I always was curious. Oh, like, but how do you market that? Like, how do like salespeople work, or like what is accounting? It was not related to my job like at all, but just but I was just curious how those things work, and maybe at some point I started developing my opinions on how things should work. But nobody would listen to you, right? Like it's a stupid thing to listen to a person, like to listen to like a person who is a developer, but like talk to him about like sales, right? So or marketing. So and I wouldn't do that probably myself most of the time because it's just a waste of time most of the time. But deep inside, I was like, yeah, I just need more room to try things, to experiment, to do things that to understand whether I am that person who is able to do those things or whether I'm not. So that's how I entered this entrepreneurship phase of my life. And in terms of entrepreneurship investments, I think at some point I watched a lot of I read a lot of books, like very like popular business books, like 0 to 1 or Lean Startup, like all that startup classic. But then I watched probably thousands of hours of YC videos on YouTube, and not only YC, but like in general, but mostly YC, I think. And I've been watching, I think, I don't remember, like since forever. And then at some point, I also finished this entrepreneurship program from Stanford during COVID. And I was basically studying every single day before work. I was working at Typeform back then, and I was spending like 4 hours every day before starting to work, like on that education. And I was doing it for like 1 year during COVID, and it was very, very expensive. So I spent like a lot of personal savings on it, but it was totally worth it because it helped understand not just like the idea aspects of building a startup, but like other parts of it, like fundraising, like finance. How do you hire? Of course, at that point, those materials were not something that I needed at that moment, but they showed me like the fullest possible picture of what it's like to actually build a company that has a potential to be like a massive company one day. I think it was the biggest and like the most expensive investment like in my entrepreneurship career.
So, okay, in that case, like, since you touched on YC, like, would you say YC is worth it? Like everything that you guys went through, like, is it worth it? Like, would you do it again? Or like, what's your feedback there?
Yeah, for me it was totally worth it because again, when I mentioned why entrepreneurship happened in my life, it was because I needed more room to like test myself, to experiment, and with YC, the experience is pretty intense. You are being pushed to do things you've never done before and do them very, very fast, and make as much progress as you can. Also, you have these accountability groups, basically, when like there are several companies all together and you discuss your metrics. So it helps keep the bar high. I would definitely do it again. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a mistake that you've noticed you've made with your previous startup before YC? YC helped you fix in this current cohort?
Yeah, I think I fixed it myself before we got into YC, but basically it's the idea that you work on. There is a lot of narrative to build a small niche product, like for a very like small audience. And the thing is, it's as hard as building large product for a big market. It's like literally the same amount of hours you spend every day, but the upside is just different because of the because of like the nature of it. That's it. So I would say I wasn't ambitious enough. I think the first product was a great experience, and I think we achieved good results with it. But I think it would be more fun to aim higher and have a bigger vision, work on like bigger problems than what we worked on. So that's the lesson that I learned.
I like, yeah, I mean, I think that applies in just like in business general. It's like if, like sometimes the effort you put into do sales of like some product that is not that great is equivalent of like something that you can sell for 10x or 10x and the reward is much higher,
Yeah,
right? So
but just to clarify, if that advice only applies when you're choosing between a smaller product or like a bigger product. If you're choosing between building something or small or not building something at all, of course you have to build something even if it's small. But if you have like bigger idea and smaller idea, then of course I would recommend to aim at like bigger idea.
got it. Sounds good. So yeah, I mean, Max, like first, like, is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you about your product that maybe I missed, that I don't know, it didn't come up that, some developers should know or the founder should know, anything that, maybe you could, tell us in terms like what's next with your product and what we should be expecting to see in the next few months or next quarter or next year?
Yeah, so we started Lingo.dev back in 2023 at the hackathon. We just went there and just built the prototype, and later it evolved. And we never into Lingo.dev as we know it today, but we never changed the direction. And the direction was always the same: it's to help dev teams use AI to do translations, whether it's API for real-time translations on the backend, or whether it's translations for user interface, or whether it's translating your docs and blog posts for SEO. We help developers apply AI models for translations. And in the next few months, so we recently shipped Lingo.dev compiler that makes localization very easy for web apps. We have a lot of things coming up later this year, and also the open source community is growing. So if you are interested, check it out. Check out our Discord, check out our GitHub repo, just Google it, Lingo.dev. Give it a star, and if you have feature requests or ideas what we should ship next, just jump into our Discord and let us know. I'm online there 24/7. Always shipping something, and my team as well. So yeah, we'd be excited to chat. Other than that, just join Discord and subscribe to updates.
Nice. And then you said you're also hiring. Like, what is the top 3 things you look for in your hires?
So I'm taking a little bit unconventional approach to hiring. I am looking for, I already mentioned that I'm looking for people who can decide what to do next for themselves, so that I don't have to manage them like every day. So we are looking for very like mature and independent thinkers who have taste, who have opinions, how great product, how great developer tooling looks like. Right now we just have 2 roles that are left. It's system design engineer. That is basically backend with exceptional system design skills. And then we also are looking for, we call it algorithm design engineer, but it's the person who have extremely deep experience with algorithms, data structures, abstract syntax trees is a big plus, and working with tools like Webpack or being a contributor in Webpack, Babel, and all those other exceptional, build tools that the entire industry is built on. So that could be a huge plus as well. So I'm taking a little bit unconventional approach here because I'm looking for people dedicated to their craft. I would say if you want to earn like a shit ton of money, you should go and try your luck with Google or Dell or probably a big bank. With us, it's rather you should join us if you're looking to become, if you're obsessed about what you're building, and if you're looking to become a better version of yourself, basically professionally. Because that's what motivates me personally as the founder, and that's what motivates every single person. We have 6 people right now on the team, every single person on the team. And you potentially will be working with folks like you who also came here to become better versions of themselves, to push as hard as they can, 120% every day.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Max, I guess like besides GitHub, like what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Is it email, LinkedIn? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, email. Email is best. It's max@lingo.dev. Or if it's for related to jobs, then it's careers@lingo.dev. And then if it's regarding open source work, or you would like to contribute and work with us through open source, first, for example, then you can just go straight to GitHub or Discord. And the ways to do that is very simple. It's lingo.dev/go/Discord. So that's how you find our Discord.
Sounds good. Well, Max, thank you for coming on the show. I learned a lot from you. I think you're sharing great advice, especially for people back home. My cousin needs to hear your advice. Work hard, long hours, try different things. So yeah, thank you for that. And then we'll get this thing published, and hopefully I'll see your company grow, and I'll be hearing the Series A raise next time and Series B after that, and who knows what else. Sounds good?
Thanks, David. Thanks for the kind words. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Max.